Hello and welcome to this edition of Turnaround Marriage. Guys, you might be out there today and you're seeing this title, Conflict, a Blessing. Scott, what in the world are you talking about? Guys, if that's you and maybe you've been struggling in your marriage, maybe it's been a few months or maybe it's been years where there has been this inevitable conflict. I'm here to tell you the conflict itself is actually not the problem. So if that's you, make sure you are listening and hear me out today. First of all, I do want to say if you are finding us on Facebook, make sure that you do or join our Turnaround Marriage community, or make sure you like our coaching page. We want to make sure that you're part of both of that so that you're seeing all of our resources as well. If you find us on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and even share the video. It will mean the world to us. So guys, let's dive into this subject because this goes against what most people believe. And let's think about it. How many books are out there? How many resources, how many videos, how many articles that are out there that talk about like navigate or not just navigating conflict, but like lessening the conflict in your marriage? Now, I get it, guys. Of course, we want the conflict to not lead the way. We don't want there to be arguing. We don't want there to be the rub that sometimes happen. But let's just think about it for a moment, because conflict is everywhere. Conflict is inevitable. It's part of every human relationship. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily arguing in every single relationship that you have, but there usually are levels of frustration. Maybe it doesn't happen in one day or a week or a month, but over time, there is that rub that can tend to build up, even with the people that we care most about the most, even our own kids, for example. If our kids make us frustrated, we don't just give up on them. We love them. Of course we do. So why is it in the context of the marriage, where it is the most intimate relationship, where that conflict, we just feel like, oh my goodness, if we have conflict, that means we're doing it wrong. Or if we have conflict, it means that we're not in love. Or if we're having conflict, it can feel so yucky because it seems like it shouldn't be part of it because it didn't happen early on in your relationship or early on in your marriage. And so, people tend to have this belief that if there is not this conflict, that they're doing well. But I'm here to tell you the absence of conflict could actually mean the absence of connection, because any great story, any great romance usually has different levels of conflict there. Now, I'm not saying, guys, that there shouldn't be an honorable way that we should navigate them. Of course, we should. And the yelling and screaming, that shouldn't be part of the conflict. But I'm here to tell you, conflict unto itself can actually be a blessing, because what happens when you navigate it? Think about it just logically for a moment. Same with your kids. When you are able to navigate conflict within the context of your family, what does it do? It gives you a sense of deeper connection. In the context of marriage, it can really build trust. If there has been a reason for broken trust, for example, with infidelity or even, pornography use or whatever it would be, if you're trying to rebuild trust, the answer is not avoiding the conflict, because the conflict is actually an opportunity for you to navigate it. And I don't mean just in the sense that you're going to come out stronger on the other end, but you're going to have a sense that you both worked through it together. And so when you navigate it together, it's like you come through it and then you feel like, oh my goodness, we're a team. And how incredible is it that that person, not just one time, but 2 times, 10 times, 100 times or more, is still by your side after you've been able to navigate those conflicts effectively. And when you are able to do that, it's actually beautiful. It's actually powerful when you've been able to navigate those things in the right manner. And what happens if you don't deal properly? What happens if you don't see it as an opportunity? What happens if you don't communicate well? Well, normally one or both of you have gotten your feelings hurt. It doesn't feel right. You feel like, oops, sorry, a little glitch there. If you feel like things are not working the way that they should, what happens if you're not dealing with it properly? It feels yuck. And it is actually leading you further apart because you've not dealt with it. So how many couples do I speak to that I'll ask the question, like, when you do come back together after an argument, are you able to navigate things? No. It's like oftentimes been years where they sweep things under the carpet or they just wait for themselves to calm. And they're not really calming because it's underneath. They're shoving it down and they're piling upon conflict that's undealt with. And they're getting more and more hurt feelings. And you can put on a smiley face and you're able to come together and be intimate or have fun together. But underneath it all, you've not navigated that conflict. And unless you are, it's a big pile of yuck that's underneath the surface. And that's not a good place to be. It's not a good place for your marriage to thrive. But when you can talk together and communicate and work as a team and communicate in a way that is winsome and helpful, what can happen is not just that you can navigate that one thing, not just navigate that one situation, but you begin to realize, and I've had numerous clients that have come back to me and said, Scott, I finally realize it. I actually don't run from conflict anymore because it means that we're going to get closer. In other words, they see conflict actually as an opportunity to embrace, because when the two of them, husband and wife, are able to navigate that, get on the same page together, it's like they have this victory together. And it feels so good and it's so empowering. And so, of course, it's something that they shouldn't want to avoid, but it's how we're showing up. It's communication with way more than just what we're saying. And so if you're showing up in your marriage with conflict, with already anger, already there being bitterness or loneliness or frustration, and then you're trying to solve it, and then you're trying to communicate, it doesn't work very well. And so you actually have to oftentimes get a different way of looking at things. You have to get the tools that are going to help you to navigate to get to the place where the very best version of you can show up to the plate. I was just talking to a husband and wife the other day, and one of them said, my wife came and apologized to me. This doesn't normally happen. Like normally our conflict would go on for days and days and days. And she came and she just apologized. And I asked him, what did that mean to you? He said, I just started bawling. I couldn't believe it. I was so amazed. And how powerful a moment it was for them to build on. One that they'll be able to look back on and be grateful for the conflict that they actually had, because that conflict that they navigated successfully means that they're going to be able to build from that. And the next time they're not going to be afraid of it and not wandering away and not feeling or believing that this is absolutely going to have to take days and days to fix. So I'm here to tell you, conflict can actually be a good thing. One of our other amazing clients just shared with me. He actually posted this on Facebook. He quoted me, and I thought, that was a pretty good quote. So I'm going to read my quote. When we learn to communicate in the right way, conflicts can become opportunities to draw us closer to our spouse. We don't get locked then in a cycle of victimhood or villainhood, but we listen to learn and to hear from the other person, not to be heard, and to have an attitude of curiosity rather than criticism in our interaction. So guys, I'm here to say that if you can begin to step to the plate with a new understanding, a new belief, a new way to look at things, thinking of it as an opportunity, recognizing that conflict actually means that your spouse needs something, that your spouse needs something from you, that they're desiring to be nourished. It's when we move past that conflict, it usually means that they're not wanting that nourishment from you anymore. And that can be catastrophic, of course. And so when there is conflict still, it's actually a reason for hope. It's actually a way that you can, a means of connection, a means of meeting the other person's needs, nourishing the other person, nourishing the marriage. And so guys, what I want to encourage you today is we have a free resource out there. It's a free masterclass that we've over 10,000 people have checked out, and it's extremely powerful. And you can go to turnaroundmarriage.live and find that powerful masterclass, the 5 simple strategies that our clients use to shift and define conflict, love, and connection. And guys, it is so powerful, so empowering. And so many people have reached out and said that this absolutely changed their lives, because what we do in that masterclass is help you to look radically different at your circumstance and at your spouse. And I'm here to tell you that that's exactly what it's going to take to look at conflict in a way where you can see it as beneficial. And guys, we're here to tell you, once you do, once you get to that place in your marriage, and you're not running from it, in fact, you're embracing it, not only do the conflicts become less and less, ironically, but when they do come, it's a moment of connection, and it can be beautiful. So guys, that the masterclass website, turnaroundmarriage.live. And until next time, I hope this challenges you to think through, what is the purpose of conflict and what could it mean in your context?